celebrate God that loves us? Come on, y'all. He loves us. Amen. 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 I want to continue our series, The DNA of Jesus. We've been looking at just who he is, and I think it's always good to go back and be clear on who our Savior is and how he moves. And so we've looked at he's a good friend. We've looked at the fact that he'll shift us. Some of us are going through difficulty right now. It's a dark place, and we think God has forgotten us when in fact he's shifting us. He's transitioning us. He's moving us into a new dimension, and we got to trust him on that. And so I just want to kind of share that and help us kind of press into that. And so today I want to invite your attention for this word, Mark chapter 3, verses 23 through 30, passage that I love and want to share from and believe God has a word for us. Mark chapter 3, verses 23 through 30. And here's what it says. And he called them to himself and began speaking to them in parables. How can Satan cast out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. If Satan has risen up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand, but he is finished. But no one can enter the strong man's house and plunder his property unless he first binds the strong man, and then he will plunder his house. Truly I say to you, all sins shall be forgiven the sons of men, and whatever blasphemies they utter. Whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit never has forgiveness, but is guilty of an eternal sin. Somebody say, ouch. Because they are saying he has an unclean spirit. Amen. I want to talk about like a thief, like a thief, like a thief. God shows up as a good friend. God shows up and shifts us as a leader. But I want to suggest to you today that sometimes God shows up like a thief. Sometimes he shows up like a thief. He will do that. And this text really messed with me. I actually went all the way to South Africa to get to the place to know that Lord was telling me to preach this. I said, Lord, I ain't preaching that. I said, my church going to think I'm crazy. And the Lord said, they already think you crazy. What are you talking about? And so I said, I didn't understand that. But the Lord was very clear. So sometimes God will show up like a thief in your life. Sometimes he will show up like a thief. Because sometimes we can't handle the straight up, blunt, direct way that God wants to move. So sometimes he has to do it a little bit clandestine. Sometimes he has to sneak up on us. And that's what we see in the text. The text really is suggesting that Jesus here is showing up on the earth to bring in the kingdom like a thief. He says no one can enter the strong man's house and plunder the property. He's talking about somebody going into somebody's house. And y'all know I'm a big Laker fan. The Lakers are back on top. We finna get this thing together again. I wanted to wear my Laker jersey, but I let it go. I said, that's been a little bit too much over the top. But Shaquille O'Neal used to play for the Lakers. He's 7 feet tall, weighs over 300 pounds. And if you think about it, if you wanted to rob him of something in his house, maybe his MVP trophy, you're not going to do it in his face. He's 7 feet tall. You're not going to just knock on his door. He opened the door. You walk in, take some stuff, see you. That's not going to happen. You're not going to do that. That's what Jesus is saying here when it comes to the strong man. You're not going to just go up in his face, and you're not going to plunder him. You're not going to just take it from him. But here, Jesus is not a thief like that. Here's the idea. And I said like a thief. I didn't say Jesus was a thief. I don't need y'all putting that on Facebook saying, Pastor said Jesus is a thief. I didn't say that. I said like a thief. Matter of fact, Matthew 24 says when he comes back, he's going to come back like a thief in the night. So tell your neighbor, Pastor's in Bible country. He's in Bible country. But in this text, it says he goes in to plunder him. That suggests a thief, but I want to suggest to you that Jesus comes in like a thief, but he is not a thief. Because in this text, if you go in and steal something, you're taking something that belongs to them. But it's not theft if it was yours in the first place and somebody took it from you and you going back to reclaim what was yours in the first place. And so if I go in your house and take something from you and walk out, you can call the police on me and say, you know what, Pastor Aldridge took this out of my house. It didn't belong to him. But now if it belonged to me and it was mine, and I go in your house and reclaim what was mine in the first place, that's not theft. Y'all, that's redemption. And I stopped by to tell somebody that sometimes you want Jesus to show up like a thief because he wants to take back what has been stolen from us. And that's what we see in this passage. He restores what has been taken. Some of us this morning, you lost your joy. Somebody stole your joy. Used to be bubbly, used to be on fire about faith. God can restore and get back what has been stolen from you. Maybe for somebody else, it's their family, or maybe somebody else, it's their income or their livelihood, their job, whether it's the unfairness on your job or the injustice or how you've been treated. And God would have you to know that when Jesus shows up like a thief, he's not trying to steal anything from you or from me. No, he's trying to take back what was already yours. And so I want to just take a few minutes and kind of look at this text and show you at least a couple of ways of how he shows up as a thief, and then what are the implications for my life as to how God is working in my life. Here's the first one. Number one, he sneaks up on us with miracles. He sneaks up like a thief with miracles. And really this harkens back to verse 22, because in verse 22, the religious leadership that came down from Jerusalem had an issue with Jesus' ministry. Jesus is healing the sick. Jesus is casting out demons, and the religious leadership have an issue with it, and they come down from Jerusalem, and in verse 22, they said, the only reason why you're doing it is because Satan is empowering you. Jesus is defeating Satan, and they say, oh, it's only because Satan is empowering you. And Jesus' ministry is a ministry of miracles. And really it's a word, listen to me, that some folk, Christian folk even, have an issue with miracles. But anybody in here know that my God is a miracle-working God? He's a miracle-working God. Matter of fact, when you get home, look at chapter 3, the same chapter, verses 7 through 12. In that text, Jesus had been healing and casting out demons and ministering and serving, and he had come to the end of the day, and he's tired. He's weary, and he's trying to get somewhere quiet by himself to sleep and to rest. And the crowds find him. And you know what he does? He doesn't put a do not disturb sign on his door. He doesn't put his phone on off. He gets up and he heals. Because watch this. God is never too tired to do a miracle for you. Boy, and sometimes I need Jesus to just sneak up on my life and give me a miracle. Anybody ever have God just surprise you? You wasn't even asking for it. You wasn't even praying for it. But somehow, some way, you knew you needed God to do something. He just snuck up on you and did a miracle. I stopped by to tell somebody that same God can do miracles on our behalf. Yeah, my prayer for us as a church, that we would still believe that God can do the supernatural. He can do the things we can't do. Don't ever get to a place where we just come to church to have church, y'all. Let's not be that kind of church, but let's be a church. When we walk through those doors, God, I need you to do something that's bigger than me. When we walk through those doors, God, I need you to do some things in my marriage. I need you to do some things with my children that I can't do anymore. I need you to deal with my employer, Lord, because I know if you deal with my employer, you'll sit them down and bless me in a way that I can't imagine. I pray we're a church that when we come to church, we will not leave the same way we came. Because we believe God can do the supernatural. We believe God can do the miraculous. Number one, he comes in doing miracles. Number two, he comes in dealing with Satan. This one's important because in verse 23 through 26, as we recap the story, Jesus preaches a sermon. He's being criticized for doing ministry, for defeating Satan on his ground, and now he preaches a sermon to explain his activity. So verse 23, he says, he called him to himself and said, how can Satan cast out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. If Satan has risen up against Satan himself and is divided, he cannot stand. He is finished. What is his point? Here it is. Satan has skills, strategy, and structure. He's not playing. He coming to kill, steal, rob, come on, somebody. Destroy. I know I got the words out of order. Okay. But y'all hearing me, right? Here's the point. Here's what Jesus wants us to understand. You in a war. You are in a war. Pastor, I ain't declared war on nobody. I know. The devil has declared war on you. The moment you decided to follow Jesus is the moment that, guess what? You became his enemy. And here's the issue. Paul says, when you fight the devil, you got to put on the full armor. You can't put on a half armor to defeat a big devil. You got to put on all that stuff to fight him. And many times it takes difficulty, watch this, to recognize that some of the things we're dealing with is not physical, it's not people, it's spiritual. That there's something behind the stuff we're dealing with that God says we got to deal with it in a spiritual way. So tell your neighbor, you're in a war, you're in a war, you're in a war. And when the devil comes, he's got structure, strategy. He's got skill. Put here Ephesians 6, verse 11. Put on the whole armor. Tell your neighbor, don't be coming in half-dressed. Amen. Come on. Don't be coming in half-dressed, okay? That you may be able to stand against the schemes, the schemas, the strategies of the enemy. We are in a war with the devil. And I really struggle with this text because I'm asking the question, why is Jesus sneaking up on the devil? Because in the parable, the devil is the strong man. Okay? The devil is the strong man. He comes in to bind him up. And again, the image is, Shaquille O'Neal, he's 7 feet tall. He's so big, he's so imposing, I got to sneak up on him and tie him up. Okay, I need to sneak up on him. But how many of y'all know Jesus don't need to sneak up on anybody? Wait a minute. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. Matter of fact, when he got up from the grave, he didn't say half the power. All power is in my hand, in heaven and. So I'm asking the question, why is Jesus sneaking up on the devil to tie him up? Here it is, because he's trying to teach us how to get the victory, which means some devil fights, he is going to fight for you. But some of y'all, he's saying, I want to fight with you. and I'm trying to tag team with you. Watch this. Because if I tag team with you and you get the victory, you know you can defeat the devil too. I wish I had a witness right there. And so what he's doing, he's trying to teach us that when we lean on him, we can get the victory. When we use his weapons, when we fight him, when we fight with him, when we work in conjunction with him, when we allow him to teach us to use spiritual weapons in fighting versus physical weapons. And so I say, like here at the first service, like I said, the first service, some of y'all, humility means that sometimes I got to step back. Because the Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee. Resist don't mean you sock somebody, okay? Pastor, it's a kind of Christianized resist. No, that ain't resisting. That's offensive. Resist means you step back. Resist the devil and you'll flee. And some of us, you've been in some situations, and I know they crazy. Say, hey, man, they crazy, some crazy folk. And your resisting is cussing them out. Okay, why this crowd gonna act like they don't? And some of y'all spiritualizing. You cuss them out, blankety, blankety, blank, in the name of Jesus. What? And God is saying it's not gonna happen that way. You sometimes you gotta, look, I'm not saying you let people abuse you and take advantage of you. But sometimes you got to step back and you got to be prayerful to know, okay, God, I got to let God deal with this fool. Amen. I got to let God deal with this person. Because if I deal with you, I'm going to hurt you. And so two examples. Let me hit this. The first one, and I shared this with my Bible study at noon about a couple of weeks ago. I was getting my phone fixed. I had dropped my phone, broke the screen, went to a place to get it fixed. And I'll just say a person of another persuasion. I'm trying to be nice. Cussed me because I got out the car and he thought I had hit his car. And can I just, for the record, it was a bucket of a car anyway. I'm like, would you look at my car and look at your car and understand I probably helped your car if I did hit your car? I was hot. Y'all pray for Pastor. Y'all was hot. And he cussed me talking about, and he went and looked around, you hit my car. I said, I ain't do nothing. And there was some mental profanity that was floating in the atmosphere in my mind, all up in here. It never came out now. It never came out. Because I didn't know if some of y'all were around, maybe been watching me. But there was a lot of mental stuff going on, and I was really angry. I mean, I was hot because it happened right before Bible study. I got the Bible study at noon. I told the Bible study about it. I'm trying to calm down. I'm really trying to calm down. because we do live in a culture where there is a certain persuasion because of this administration. They think they can talk to us and treat us any kind of way. And it was that kind, y'all. And I'm going to tell you, breathe, come on. Now, it's funny, when I went in the store, that's exactly what the guy said. He said, breathe, breathe. And that's what I had to do. And I was really upset. And when I calmed down the end of that day, and it bothered me, actually I should say this, it bothered me for a couple of days. Because I'm like, this is a young, of another persuasion, talk to an older man, an older black man like that. I'm still upset, ain't it? She said, you still upset, Pastor? I am. You put some oil on me in the name of Jesus, okay? But the Lord began to mess with me on it. He said, okay, Archie, why did that upset you so? Are you going to believe what people say about you? See, sometimes, y'all, I know people upset us, but is it possible the devil is trying to get us to believe something about ourselves that is not true? And we got to bring that to the Lord and let him work on it. I mean, if it really got you that upset, are you trying to say there's some truth there? And the Lord began to tell me, don't you know greater is he that is in you than some fool in the world? The Lord had to remind me that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Don't you know I got an anointing on your life? Don't you know I got a purpose for your life? Don't you know I've been watching over your life all these years? Don't let some fool stop you from what I have for your life. And so we got to fight the devil spiritually. But the biggest one is when I was over in South Africa, the Lord, this is what I want you to preach. South Africa, really, that's where it happened. When we were over there in Cape Town, they had an aquarium, and the aquarium housed a lot of the fish and animal life in the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. Actually, at the tip of South Africa, that's where both of those oceans come together. It's an amazing thing, just absolutely amazing. So we went to the aquarium, and they had a shark tank. Not Shark Tank on TV, a real Shark Tank, okay? And so they had a number of fish in the tank, which kind of blew me away, and the shark, but they knew the sharks were the big dogs in the tank. And it was the funniest thing, because you have little fish flying around, they kind of swimming around, doing all this kind of, but when the shark came around, they wasn't doing all that. They're just taking their time. They ain't upset. They ain't scared. They're not looking over their back. They're not looking down to see if somebody's going to touch. They just. And then every now and then they'll glance at the window like, you know I'm bad. And they just going slowly, just like that. A school of fish will get in their path, and they just get on out the way, just part the way. Like they're the baddest thing in the tank. I mean, they just bad. And so there was a part when we were there, they had an amphitheater outside, kind of toward the tank, outside the tank, where it was like a big window that you can see the tank with a whole bunch of people. And in front of those people, they had a shark feeding where they fed the sharks. And so they would feed the sharks with large fish about this long, in this length, about the length of your arm. And I could just see one of those sharks just eating my arm. He's just gobbling up in 2 or 3 gulps. Now, what the trip part is, the whole time they were in the tank, they just walking, they swimming around all big and bad in circles. That's all they doing. They just big and bad. Y'all know I'm the biggest, baddest dog on this tank. When it came time to eating, when they gobbled up the fish, they came to the window where the people were, as if to say, you also know I'm the biggest and baddest thing. I said, these sharks have attitude. And I started to think about that. I said, Lord, isn't that how the devil does us? Isn't that how the devil does? Devours up families, devours up people, intimidates people. To the point, sometimes Christians give more credence to the devil than to God. And that thing really bothered me. And I started thinking about it, because I saw some things over in Cape Town that I didn't like. I said, Lord, this thing is almost impossible. It's like we're fighting a battle that we almost feel like we can't win. And I think some of us feel that way as well. It's not that we don't want to be spiritual. It's not that we don't want to trust God. But sometimes when you look at what the devil throws at us, it almost seems impossible. And you begin to ask God the question, what are you up to? And so I'm just asking that question. I said, Lord, it feels like it. It feels like that. A little bit later, it comes to me just as clear. And the Lord said, you all worried about the shark. He said, Archie, son, let me tell you something. Don't you know there's somebody stronger and bigger than the shark? The only reason why the shark is in the tank is because somebody took him from the ocean and put him in the tank. And whoever took him from the ocean and put him in the tank must be bigger and stronger than the shark. And I stopped by to tell somebody, the strongest man in the text ain't the devil. The strongest man in the text is Jesus Christ. And as long as we lean on the stronger one, we will win this battle. Number one, miracles. Number 2, Satan. The last one, and I'm out of here. Number 3, beliefs. Here's where he's trying to land this plane. Please don't miss this. But no one can enter the strong man's house and plunder his property unless he first binds the strong man, and then he will plunder his house. Truly I say to you, all sins shall be forgiven the sons of men, and whatever blasphemies they utter. But whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit never has forgiveness, or shall never be forgiven. How many of y'all came out of a church that taught you that if you blaspheme the Spirit and they actually gave you specific ways you can do it, you can lose your salvation forever? Because some people come out of that tradition or what have you, where you better not blaspheme the Spirit. And what they create is, they create this experience of faith that is out of fear. It's out of fear, okay? And then it says, but he is guilty of eternal sin because they're saying he has an unclean spirit. Here's the point. Here's the point. If you've ever been taught on that, maybe you haven't, that's good if you haven't, but here's the point. The point is this, what Jesus is raising, he's raising the issue that when God moves in your life, he may not move in a conventional way. So just as these religious leaders had come down to criticize Jesus and say, you are casting demons out by the power of Satan, here's the point. You're so entrenched in your belief, you can't even see that God is moving in a different direction. So much so, they're applying to Satan what God is doing. It's a word, watch this, it's a word about simply being open and allowing God to do things a little differently than we might be used to. It's a word, it's actually 2 things. It's a word about bad teaching that gets us entrenched versus being open to the Spirit to doing something different that he's never done before. And so the strong man is Satan, but it's also his strength and his control of the teaching in that day. And Jesus is saying, you are so entrenched, this is what he's saying to the religious leaders, you are so entrenched in what you've been taught by the religious leadership that when God moves in your midst, you assign it to the devil when it's an opportunity for me to make a difference in your life. So let me help you, because some of y'all grew up like that, and I believe in giving, you ought to give from the heart. But some of y'all grew up where giving is almost like hitting the lottery. In other words, if I give to God, God's going to bless me. And he can bless you. But hear me, he blesses you because he loves you. He blesses you because he loves you. And I love my pastor growing up. My pastor was a great pastor growing up, but he was wrong on this. He used to tell us all the time, the reason why you got that ticket because you didn't give. That's not of God. No. God, you got the ticket because you was driving too fast. That's why you got the ticket. If you hadn't been driving too fast, you never would have got the ticket. Or you parked somewhere you know you ain't got no business parking. And so we have these ideas in terms of the purpose of the offering or what's going on in ministry. And God, that is not of God. When I give to God, I'm just using giving as a hypothetical. We give from our hearts. We give because we love him. We give because we believe in his purpose. We give because he's blessed us and he has enriched us. We don't give out of fear. And if you're giving out of fear, keep it, because God doesn't want it that way. He never blesses me out of fear. He blesses me because he loves me. He blesses me because he has a plan for my life. He wants me to give freely and lovingly, and so that we give to others in the same way. And we ought to give. And pastors are guilty of using that to beat folk up. And so it's our beliefs. But we give from the heart. We give because we love him. We give because we trust him. So let me wrap this up. I want to wrap this up. I got two things I want to kind of wrap up and give you a takeaway. So it's two things in result of this in terms of Jesus coming in as a thief. Here's what he's trying to do. Number one, it's a word about how we need the word in our lives. We need the word. Here's the takeaway. We need the word. And here's my question, because the issue is beliefs. Even with me as your pastor, are you measuring what I preach against what you're learning from the Word of God? There's a church in Acts called the Berean Church, and they were called the Bereans because they would study to see that the things that Paul taught them, to see if they were true. I'm your pastor, but you ought to be able to study and learn the Word in such a way that even you're testing to see whether or not is pastor even telling the truth. Is he consistent with the text? Is he doing his homework? Because we have a lot of stuff out there in social media, I'm telling you, it's not of God. And because it has a Jesus label on it, we think it's Jesus. The other side is, watch this, the more word I get in my life, the more stability I have in my life. The more stability I get. The more word I have in my life and I understand God's heart and how God is moving in my life, the better I'm able to experience the fruit of God's wisdom. Because there's a worldview and there is also a God or kingdom view. And so God uses his word to give me a kingdom view of life. And as I have a kingdom view of life, I have more stability. I have more peace. I have more strength when I come up against the devil. I trust God for what he's going to complete in my life. And so here it is. So, 21 hours. We did 21 hours of flying, y'all. 3 hours from here to D.C., 8 hours from D.C. to Amsterdam, 11 hours from Amsterdam to South Africa. And I was wore out. Halfway through, about the 8th hour, I said, can we land this thing sometime? They said, you're going to have to hold on. So all that flying, I'm good with flying, fly all the time, not scared of flying. But I get a little anxious. I get a little anxious. Big old 50,000-pound plane going up in the air. I'm asking in my head, okay, is this thing really going to get up? It gets up every time, but every now and then, if you've been on a plane, it'll get up a little bit and it kind of stall a little bit. And you be like, okay, Doc, you need to put that accelerator on the that pedal a little bit more. And I'm asking the question because it just amazes me that a piece of machinery that large can fly and stay airborne and land perfectly. So I did a little research. And I discovered, because the kind of plane we were on was a 767, and I discovered that 767s, planes, they need 188 miles an hour of thrust to overcome the drag. Meaning, as long as the plane is flying more than 188 miles per hour, that plane's gonna fly. No matter what. Why? Because of the principles of aerodynamics. The unseen principles that God put in the universe of aerodynamics guarantees that if you're on a plane and if it's going faster than 188 miles an hour, it is going to fly. It's going to fly. So in the seat on those international flights, they got those flight views, and you can look at the cockpit. I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I was looking at the speed. We 6 hours into the flight, and I'm looking at the speed. And it only needs to go 188 miles an hour. We're doing 545. And I said, boy, you pitiful. You know you pitiful. You know you flying. But as long as it's faster, because of the principles of aerodynamics, that plane's going to fly every time. And it gave me peace and stability. What am I saying? When you get the word in your life, it'll give you peace, stability, and strength about the things you're dealing with. The last one is his greatness. First is the word, second one is greatness. Here it is. Hear me. And this is a belief. I pray that you get it in your spirit. Because I know some of us, we think there's just this one thing out there that God's going to just reject me forever. It's a lie from the pit of hell. When he saved you by the cross, he saved you forever. Here it is. God will use sin, evil, and the devil to bless your life. The reason why he's teaching us how to conquer the enemy, because it's one thing to just beat the enemy knowing that the enemy is weaker than you. Jesus could have done that. The earth is the Lord, the fullness thereof, they that dwell therein. He has all power. All power has been given to me in heaven and earth. He has all power. He could beat the devil. That's not the issue. But if I beat the devil with his own tactics and use those same tactics that were designed to destroy you and turn them around and make him use them to bless you, tell somebody that. That's power. That's power. So that no matter what you're going through, no matter where you are in life, the power of the cross says, if I came through a dark Friday, you can always come through on a Sunday morning with resurrection power. It doesn't matter what he throws your way. God is so powerful. He'll turn what the devil meant for evil and bring good in your life. Is there anybody in here knows that God will bless you right in the face of the enemy? Has he ever made a way in your life? Did you ever think it was over? But in the last minute, God showed up with power in his hand. God is always on your side. That's the lesson of a thief. And so if I can't get you to get it face to face, I'll sneak up on you and bless your life. That's my word this morning. He'll bless you. He'll use your trouble. He'll use your suffering. He'll use your heartache. You think your heartache is designed to take you out. God says, no, if you hold on, I'll give you a testimony behind the heartache. I'll give you a blessing behind the suffering. I'll give you strength behind the very thing that was designed to make you weak. I'll give you power where the devil tried to give you evil. If you hold on, I got the power. Oh, Father, we bless you and thank you for your thievery ministry that you do on our behalf. And you do it over and over and again. And I guess my word today, Lord, is for us to know from the pulpit to the pew that, God, you mean nothing but good for us. Nothing but good. In those dark valleys, you mean nothing but good. In those dark times when we feel like we're alone, you mean nothing but good. When the family doesn't seem right, you mean nothing but good. When the job is tripping and the money is funny, you mean nothing but good. Give us the faith to hold on. Give us the faith to cling. Give us the faith to learn how to fight the enemy, that we might be strong in you, trust you, and watch you bless us. The strong man has been bound. The goods have been given back. We're going to walk in your name and testify of your goodness. We thank you. We love you. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. Come on, give the Lord a hand clap of praise.